Good morning. I'm Arthur Ross, Dean of the West Virginia University School of Medicine, and I welcome all of you to the 52nd School of Medicine Annual Investiture Ceremony and the 144th University Commencement Ceremony. Please remain standing for the singing of our national anthem by Ms. Devon Ballatger. During the national anthem, it is customary for gentlemen to remove their caps. Please be seated. On behalf of the faculty of the School of Medicine, I'd like to welcome the class of 2013 and our many honored guests, especially your parents, spouses, significant others, partners, children, grandparents, other family members, and your many friends. Also alumni and other members of the university family who are joining us today, some from across the globe viewing the ceremony live on the WVU webcast. It's a great, great day to be a Mountaineer. To the class, I want to say what an honor and privilege it has been for me to have served as your dean. I've come to know many of you from the very beginning during my recruitment process as good friends, and our friendship has been maintained over these years at our weekly lunches and all the other special venues that we have with one another. I've been impressed by your warmth, your friendliness, your professionalism, and we're so impressed by your excellence. This is a class that 100% passed their Step 2 qualifying examinations, 2 parts, at the 100% level. That's remarkable. Very cool. You're ready. So today, for the first time, as doctors, you'll recite the Hippocratic Oath. This oath and the altruism it implores is truly the foundation of our profession. You see, your challenge is to become great doctors, Mountaineer doctors, WVU docs. They're special. WVU docs are not just great, but they take it upon themselves to realize their fullest potential. And I hope that wherever it is that you choose to practice, and I'm hoping it's West Virginia, will become a better place for your having been there. The way that you do this is simply by be willing to display the altruism that most likely drew you to a career in medicine to begin with. Altruism is many faceted, but it consists always of a couple of very special touchstones. Integrity. Integrity in the way you deal with both colleagues and patients. Your word must be honest, true, and sincere at all times. You have to make the commitment to become a lifelong learner. Amazingly enough, half of what you've learned here will be outdated by the time you come back for your 5th year class reunion. You must develop the habit of continuous learning, and it has to last throughout your professional lifetime. It's important that you're comfortable to examine issues and then take a stand. We count upon you to become leaders in your community. You have to recognize that in leadership there will be conflict, there will be controversy, but see these as opportunities and not as things to avoid. And finally, always, always, always be a patient advocate. Your yardstick for every decision must be what is best for my patient. Your patients are going to be sick, scared, and very, very vulnerable. You have to make every single one of them that entrusts their care to you or their loved one's care to you feel as though they're the most important person in the world. And you'll find that if you do this well, it's as much a gift for you as it is for them. So now as we continue today's celebration, I want to introduce you to many people who exhibit these exact traits, all of whom had a very important role in the education of you, the class of 2013. I'm going to ask each of the individual to stand and remain standing as I call their name, and I'm going to ask the audience to please hold their applause until all of them have been introduced, and there's a lot of them. First, joining us today is Dr. Christopher Kalenda, the Chancellor for Health Sciences. We're also honored today by the presence of several members of the Health Sciences Center and Medical School administrative teams. Dr. Glenn Dillon, Vice President for Health Sciences, Research and Graduate Education. Dr. Fred Manier, Assistant Vice President for Graduate Education. Dr. Norman D. Ferrari III, Vice Dean for Medical Education and Academic Affairs. Dr. Scott Cottrell, Associate Dean for Student Services and Curriculum. Dr. Judy Charlton, Vice Dean for Clinical Affairs and the Chief Medical Officer of WVU Healthcare. The revenue that our school receives from WVU Healthcare is its main source of financial support. We are very deeply grateful to WVU Healthcare and all who contribute to it as its outstanding faculty and staff for its unwavering and generous support of our school. We are one medical school with 3 campuses, so it's especially nice to welcome to the stage Dr. Rosemarie Canarella Lorenzetti, Associate Dean for Student Services at our Eastern Division, and Dr. James P. Griffith, Associate Dean for Student Services at our Charleston Division. So here you have people who every day are working hard to make it possible that our students gain admission, meet our requirements, graduate, advance our clinical and research programs, preserve the quality of these programs, assure our continuous accreditation, balance our budget, improve and preserve our facilities, lots of work. There's no school anywhere with a better team than what you see before you, and I thank them all very deeply. I'd like to introduce a couple of other special people, and again, have them remain standing and applause at the end. First, as you might imagine, without our teaching hospitals, there could be no medical school. Our teaching hospitals provide a place for our students to learn side by side with our faculty doctors. Also representing WVU Healthcare, as well as our teaching hospitals, is Mr. Bruce McClymans, President and Chief Executive Officer for WVU Hospitals. Today, we also welcome a special guest, Mr. David Freisen, the Chief Diversity Officer at West Virginia University. We strive every day in every way to be a complete and diverse community, and Mr. Freisen helps us assure that we're able to do so. Representing our thousands of alumni across the state and nation is Dr. Charles Moore, a member of the class of 1984. Dr. Moore is Secretary-Treasurer of the WVU School of Medicine Alumni Association, which is an absolutely terrific group, a group that I've come to depend upon greatly for wise counsel and support. And also joining Dr. Moore today is a representative of the class of 1963, Dr. Stanley Canzeri. This fall, Dr. Canzeri will be joining his classmates during the alumni weekend to celebrate their 50-year reunion. Thank you all. Next, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the chairs of the various departments in the School of Medicine, or for those who are unable to be with us, their representatives. We have every department represented today. A medical school is a very complex institution, and each chair has got a huge responsibility. The departments consist of many faculty members, and in fact, not just our school, but some of our departments have faculty numbers larger than some of West Virginia's other colleges and universities. These are complex departments, and they not only teach our medical students, but students from other health professions programs. All of them run research programs and participate in the provision of health care for our many patients, either by providing direct care or by supporting those who are working hard to discover the knowledge that will benefit them. So I will call upon the department chairs and representatives to ask each to stand briefly. I ask once again that you hold your applause until they've all been introduced. Dr. Richard Driver, Chair, Department of Anesthesia. Dr. James Stevenson, Chair of the Department of Behavioral Medicine and Psychiatry. Dr. Michael Schaller, Chair of the Department of Biochemistry. Dr. Mitch Jakes, Chair of our newest department, the Department of Community Practice. Dr. Holland Larrabee from the Department of Medical Education. Dr. Todd Crocco, Chair of the Department of Emergency Medicine. Dr. Dana King, Chair of the Department of Family Medicine. Dr. James Brick, Chair of the Department of Internal Medicine. Dr. Slavomir Lukomsky from the Department of Microbiology, Immunology, and Cell Biology. Dr. Richard Day, Chair of the Department of Neurobiology and Anatomy. Dr. John Brick, Chair of the Department of Neurology. Dr. Vincent Mial from the Department of Neurosurgery. Dr. Roger Toffel from the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. Dr. Jeffrey Bradford from the Department of Ophthalmology. Dr. Sandy Emery, Chair of the Department of Orthopedics. Dr. Stephen Wetmore, Chair of the Department of Otolaryngology. Dr. Barbara Ducketman, Chair of the Department of Pathology. Dr. Larry Rhodes, Interim Chair of the Department of Pediatrics. Dr. Mark Patronostro from the Department of Physiology and Pharmacology. Dr. Alexander Chi from the Department of Radiation Oncology. Dr. Mathis Frick from the Department of Radiology, where he serves as chair. And finally, Dr. Hannah Hazard, representing the Department of Surgery, and also serves as our Assistant Dean for Admissions. We thank you all very much. Now, of course, the chairs would not be able to accomplish their huge tasks without a very strong and very diverse faculty. The faculty of the School of Medicine is the heart of our institution. It's these physicians and scientists who have worked one-on-one with this year's class to bring them to this day. The faculty are the backbone of our school, and I'd like to ask all of the faculty members in the audience today to please rise and be recognized. We thank all of you for what you've done for this class, and we thank you for having taken the time today to come and help celebrate this very special occasion for our class. All of them would love the opportunity to speak with you. There's simply not time. But to try and provide in a single voice their message to all of you, they want you to know how grateful we are that you've chosen to entrust your education as medical professionals to our school. Ours is without any question one of this country's very finest medical schools. And now, with each of you as an alum, it just got better. I'd also like to recognize the other associate deans and administrators who are here today. Dr. Clark Hansbarger, who is retiring campus dean and associate vice president for the Charleston Division. Clark, thank you. Dr. Conrad C. Now, campus dean and associate vice president for the Eastern Division. Dr. Matt Lose, Vice President for Medical Staff Affairs at WVU Healthcare and Assistant Dean for Clinical Affairs. Dr. James Brown, Assistant Dean for Student Services at the Eastern Division. Dr. Melanie Fisher, our Assistant Dean for Continuing Medical Education. Dr. David Wilkes, our Assistant Dean for Technology and Medical Education. And Linda Benine, Vice President for Health Sciences and Alumni Affairs. We thank you all. It's next my great honor and pleasure to introduce Dr. Christopher Kalenda, who is our Chancellor for Health Sciences. Dr. Calenda came to WVU in 2009 from the College of Medicine at Texas A&M Health Science Center, where he served as their Dean and Vice President for Clinical Affairs. During his time here at WVU, we've experienced a lot of positive changes, many of which have improved our state and national standing. We've always appreciated the terrific opportunity to work with Chancellor Calenda and look forward to many years ahead of a terrific and wonderful association. Dr. Calenda.
Thank you, Dean Ross. I must chuckle about positive change. On behalf of the West Virginia University and the Robert C. Byrd Health Science Centers, the faculty, staff, and students, I want to thank everyone here today for coming to this momentous occasion. Our graduates, of course, are the center of attention today, and we salute you for what you have achieved, but more importantly, the work that you will about to begin and the impact that you will have on the lives of many thousands of people throughout your professional career. I also want to welcome and recognize those who have made these graduates' achievements possible: the parents, grandparents, spouses, children, siblings, and many friends who are here today to share this moment. Your contribution to their success is incalculable. They appreciate it, and so do we. And I'd like the students to stand and turn and face your parents and friends and congratulate them for helping you get to this point in your lives. Now, yesterday was Armed Forces Day, and I raised that as an important touchstone because three faculty in the School of Nursing came up with an idea of red, white, and blue cords to honor veterans who have served this nation honorably. Doctors Miyako, Dr. Cotton, and Dr. Shelton were all Army nurses and came up with this opportunity to thank those who in the audience who have served, as well as to acknowledge the students' participation and faculty participation in the armed services. So if any of you in the audience have served in the armed forces, including the United States Public Health Service, please stand and be recognized. It is our hope that the red, white, and blue cords will become viral and that it will be part and parcel to not only the traditions here at WVU, but the traditions throughout the country for graduation ceremonies. Now, it says here that Chancellor is supposed to do inspirational words. And, you know, I recognize that the challenges here will be to get through this so that you all can celebrate appropriately. But I was thinking about this a little bit this morning, and perhaps, you know, everybody now is so focused in on text messages that perhaps there are some text messages that are going around the room that says, OMG, are you kidding? I'm going to have to be an adult. And the other one is, OMG, are you kidding? They're finally off the payroll. But last year, I spoke a little bit about leadership, and Dr. Ross mentioned it a little bit earlier. But we have formed a relationship with Dr. Eric Kale here at the Health Science Center, who was formerly the individual who did the leadership development course at West Point. And he has done a series of systematic studies looking at the character of individuals who have achieved high leadership success. And he's talked about 6 various domains. One is integrity, and you heard that from Dr. Ross earlier, moral courage, selflessness, empathy, collaboration, and reflection as 6 characteristics that are associated with successful leaders. Now let me give you a little thing about moral courage. Last week, I was talking to my daughter, who's a nurse in the neurosurgery intensive care unit at Duke, and she said, you know, Dad, you're starting to sound like a suit. Now, for the docs in the room, you understand exactly what she was referring to, right? If she had been there, that would have been, if it was easier for her to say that across the phone, but, you know, Dad still thinks of himself as a physician, not as an administrator. But the moral courage to stand and do what you need to do, what's in the patient's best interest, is something that you will be faced with day in and day out. But more importantly, as we move into systems-based practice, each of you will be high-valued members of the healthcare treatment team and perhaps leaders of those healthcare treatment teams. And so how do these individual characteristics of leadership character map to successful characteristics of being team leaders for high-performance teams? Now, some of you may have read the books by Chris Warner and Don Schmensky's High Altitude Leadership. And over in their work, they have shown that how teams behave will predict the success of their performance. And they too have found 6 characteristics that are successful of high-performance teams, and that is respect within the team, recognition of the importance of individuals within that team, the sense of belonging, the freedom of members within the team to innovate, the personal growth of members in the team to be able to feel as though that they, through their contributions, they are able to grow in terms of their own individual goals and objectives. And then, of course, the meaning of the team. And for all of us who are in healthcare, the meaning of the team is the delivery of high-quality healthcare. And so we have, as an anchor, a very a touchstone that will allow us to be part of those high professional teams that really work towards improving healthcare. So as you meet these standards and these characteristics, you will see a high likelihood of your personal teams for success. And so what I'd like to end with is to again map across individual and team-based characteristics of integrity, moral courage, selflessness, empathy, collaboration, and reflection. And many of those individual characteristics map directly to respect, recognition, belonging, freedom, personal growth, and meaning. And as we come to the end of this day, a day of celebration for you, we are motivated by mission, the value of professionalism as it unites us in the service of others, and understand the heritage of your profession and of this great university. WVU. Thank you, and have a great day.
Look at this. It says to thank the Chancellor for his inspiring remarks. We're good. Very seriously, I want to thank the Chancellor for all that wisdom and inspiration. Believe it, it's all right, and it's all a touchstone for all of you as you go eyes forward into a very, very exciting future. We have more inspiring remarks on tap right now because we've got a terrific, terrific commencement speaker. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce Dr. William R. Sigmund. Dr. Sigmund is a proud native West Virginian. He currently serves as the Senior Vice President for the North American Medical Affairs Division at GlaxoSmithKline Pharmaceuticals. He has a huge, huge job. He's responsible for all of the North American medical governance and oversight issues for all of the affairs that go on within this region relative to their medical division, medical products, and medical programs. A huge job. He does so in a capacity which has brought together a career that has bridged many, many waters. Clinical development, commercial organizations, and supply of the workforce. His industry experience includes varying levels of responsibility. Warner Lambert, ascending from Vice President for Medical and Scientific Affairs on to Pfizer as Vice President for Medical and Scientific Affairs and later the President of their Worldwide Medical Division. After Pfizer, Dr. Sigmund went to Bench International, which is a health industry executive search firm, became their Senior Vice President, Chief Medical Officer. Prior to joining Glaxo, he was Vice President at Daiichi Sankyo, and he developed their United States Medical Affairs Division in preparation for their many key product launches and company growth, which became very, very international in nature. Dr. Sigmund is board certified in internal medicine and cardiology. He received his MD degree from the West Virginia University School of Medicine and a Master's of Health Sciences in Epidemiology from the Johns Hopkins School of Hygiene and Public Health. He completed a residency in internal medicine at Johns Hopkins, a fellowship in cardiology at Georgetown, and a fellowship in preventive cardiology at Johns Hopkins. We have the honor of having Dr. Sigmund serve on our school's visiting committee. So, happily for all of us, the hills and country roads of West Virginia have brought a very proud and very accomplished expatriate back home. We're so honored to have Dr. Sigmund with us today at this commencement ceremony. Please join me in very warmly welcoming Dr. William Sigmund back to West Virginia. Dr. Sigmund.
Thank you, Dean Ross and Dr. Ferrari. Congratulations to the West Virginia University School of Medicine, class of 2013. Well done. I have been told that you are a particularly special class, and it is an honor for me to be here on this day with you and with these distinguished faculty and guests. 31 years ago, I was sitting in your seat. Like you, I knew I was about to receive my doctorate after many years of hard work. I had my residency, and I knew that the next chapter of my life would soon begin. I was relieved I'd gotten through it, and I was proud that I had accomplished it. But of course, I didn't do it alone. I had the support of family and friends and fellow classmates like Norman Ferrari, and faculty and mentors who took me under their wings, some of whom are in the audience today. Where would we be without the people who believe in us? Well done to your parents, your families, your teachers, and all of those who supported you in this great achievement. And though you've already applauded, I think they deserve another round of applause, so please join me in another round of applause. But truthfully, at the time I was sitting in your chair, I was also feeling a bit apprehensive. Did I make the right decisions? Did I choose the right residency? Would I be good enough? Would I be successful in the next chapter? What I did not know when I was sitting in your chair was just how special my education here was. It was not until after I left WVU that I began to understand and appreciate the unique experience and learning that I received here. My experience at this school taught me a lot. I knew what it was like to touch a patient. I had watched them struggle. I had watched many of them heal, and I had watched some of them die. I knew how important they were to their friends and families, and I knew what they contributed to the world, no matter who they were. This appreciation developed as I practiced and taught medicine and as I took on leadership responsibilities in the healthcare industry. From all of these experiences, I would like to share with you 3 pieces of advice that I feel will help you in the next phases of your lives and in your professional careers. First, always live your values. Second, as physicians and biomedical scientists, always focus on the patient. And third, always appreciate and honor the foundation and humility that your families and this school have given you. So let me share a few thoughts about always living your values. As you know, West Virginia University expects that every mountaineer share and embrace their historic commitment to honesty, integrity, and the search for truth. I am sure that you have already experienced times when your commitment to your values has been challenged. Your values will be challenged again, many times, I can assure you. How you respond in the face of these challenges will determine the person and the physician and scientist that you are. As you move through your careers, you may encounter challenges to your honesty and integrity in very obvious ways, but more often, it might be subtle. Look at the healthcare environment you are entering and the uncertainty around how it will evolve in the face of healthcare reform. You could easily get lost in that. You may find times when people suggest a workaround or a quick bending of the rules to get to an outcome. But if you stand back and you examine it with your values, you may find that it could compromise you or even the very thing you are trying to achieve, which is and always will be the best outcome for patients. I have been fortunate to have worked with hundreds of people who are talented and dedicated and have entered healthcare just like you so that they can help people live their lives and fulfill their dreams. Some of them have pursued this through the practice of medicine, through teaching, through medical research, and other roles in the healthcare industry. Occasionally, I've seen, and I'm sure you've read and heard about, people who lost their way and ended up tarnishing their reputation and the reputation of the institution they work for, and some have even ended up on the other side of the law. I would venture to say that none of them set out to end up there. Rather, I think it was a series of subtle choices made over a period of time that led them to a bad outcome. So stick to your mountaineer values, honesty and integrity, and always search for truth, even in the face of what may seem like inconsequential choices. If you do that, you will be successful no matter what path in medicine you take. My second bit of advice for you, as physicians and scientists, is to always keep your focus on the patient. One reason I so highly value my West Virginia University medical education is that it taught me to have the humility to put the patient first, to understand that I can learn from everyone I serve, meet, and work with. Understanding that has helped me become a better person, a better physician, and a better leader. You are talented. You are smart. You are well-trained. But be humble as you serve others. Maintain this humility so that you can continue to learn and grow from those around you. I first learned that lesson here, and I've been reminded of it many times since. When I left West Virginia to do my residency at Johns Hopkins, I worked in an internal medicine ward where I treated many elderly patients. Most of them were very poor and of very modest backgrounds. Now, this was a time when there was no rest for the house staff. And one night, I went into a patient's room, and I sat in a chair beside her bed to do some paperwork. And after a few minutes, I fell asleep. Now, I have no idea how long I was asleep, but when I woke up, here was this patient, elderly patient, sitting up in bed regally, gray curly hair, peering at me through silver cat-eye glasses, just looking at me. Now, she was the sick one. I was the asleep one. So I said to her, "Did I fall asleep?" And she said, "Yes, doctor, you did." And I said, "Well, why didn't you wake me up?" And she said, "Well, you needed your rest." And she said, "And if you're going to treat other patients, you just better make sure you get that rest." So here I was in the middle of the night where an elderly patient had just told me something I should have known. And what she especially taught me was to have the humility that I can learn from anyone around me. My third suggestion for you is to always be appreciative of the foundation your families and this institution have given you. You have excellent training in the science and practice of medicine, and that training is buttressed by the values of this institution. As I got into my residency, I became more and more aware of just how well I had been trained. And that training was important to the people I treated. You are in that same position as graduates of this fine institution. You will encounter times when your training and education may separate you from your peers. But you may also encounter times when your training and education just cannot surmount the challenges we face as physicians. During my residency, a patient presented with painless jaundice. Now, my colleagues and I knew that it was probably not hepatitis, but we couldn't find a lymph node to biopsy. I was the person among all of my peers who found the Virchow's node, which to the non-physicians in the audience is a lymph node that can sometimes be used in the diagnosis of some cancers. I can remember the accolades that I received for finding that, and the way that I found it was that I put her in a Trendelenburg position, which means that I put her head below her feet, I essentially put her upside down in the bed, and the lymph node popped out from under her clavicle. The next day on rounds, the attending physician looked up at us and said, "Who found this?" And I proudly put up my hand. I was the only person who was able to find that. But that pride was momentary because I then saw the patient lying in the bed and realized that she probably had cancer. I share this story to illustrate the comprehensiveness of the training and education that you have received here, together with the knowledge and the ability to stand on your feet and to think on your feet, mixed with the humility to understand that the patient always comes first. And for that, you should be grateful. But it also reminds us of the many diseases and conditions we still cannot adequately treat. And what about diseases we see often? In the United States, in 1 hour, an average of 26 people die from diabetes and diabetes complications. That translates to over 600 people a day, and that is only one chronic disease. And what about rare diseases? Did you know that there are about 7,000 rare diseases identified? Now, these are diseases that result in death and/or morbidity in children and adolescents. And though they are rare individually, in total, they affect about 30 million Americans and about 300 million people worldwide. And did you know that 95% of those diseases still do not have an approved therapy. We have so much to do. That is why we are here. That is why you have chosen what you will do. We have chosen this profession to heal. So I urge you to use the gift you've been given to continue to advance the practice of medicine. If you do that, and if you live your values, you will be the person, physician, and scientist you want to be, and you will benefit many. So I've talked about three things. Always live your values. As physicians and scientists, always focus on the patient, and appreciate the foundation you have been given. Finally, do not ever lose sight of the people who have supported you in this journey and who will support you in the future. None of us can do this alone. Many people will sacrifice much so that we can do what we have chosen to do. Please don't forget this. And this school will always be grateful that you are here. You will always be a member of this family. You are on an incredible journey, and you have just reached an important milestone. Think of the people you will touch. Think of the patients you will heal, of the information you will generate that will benefit many. Think of the discoveries you will make. I was once sitting in your chair, and now, with 31 years of additional wisdom, I can honestly tell you that you do have the training, the knowledge, the values, and the support structures around you that will launch you into careers that are beyond your imaginations. Congratulations again. You are the future of healthcare. Go out and seize your amazing opportunity. Thank you.
Well, I've heard a lot of commencement addresses and have given one or two myself, but I can't ever remember one that's more heartfelt and passionate. Bill, we thank you so much. That was just terrific. You want to be just like him. Miss Devin Belliger will now sing My Home Among the Hills, composed in 1963 in honor of West Virginia's centennial celebration by Clarksburg native Mr. E.W. James.
There's a land of rolling mountains where the sky is blue above, and though I may roam, I
special song, special place, special traditions, and we thank Dr. Sigmund again for the great honor that he brings to his medical school alma mater. So now we'll move on to the business of the day. Dr. Glenn Dillon, Vice President for Research and Graduate Studies, will preside over the School of Medicine's Doctor of Philosophy candidates for their investing of the Doctor of Philosophy hoods. During the hooding, Dr. Fidel Minier will assist as the candidates are hooded by their faculty advisors. Chancellor Kalenda will represent the university in the presentations of their diploma. Dr. Dillon.
Thank you, Dr. Ross. Good morning to all of you. Before I talk some about our PhD students and begin our important business, I do want to pass on my congratulations to our MD graduates. It's quite an accomplishment and a wonderful day, and I know all the support all of you have brought to them has been well received and appreciated. I do want to talk, though, about our PhD graduate students at this point a little bit. Today we are conferring the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in recognition of our students' accomplishments in academics and research. When students begin training here in graduate school at WVU, they really transition from classroom-based learning to laboratory-based discovery. The laboratories can take different forms, the traditional wet laboratory bench you might think of, but also clinics and hospitals and places where people gather in social settings. PhD students must become experts in their chosen fields and in the use of the experimental tools on which they rely to become that expert person. In biomedical programs, this might entail the use of molecular biology and genomics to better understand how cells divide and specialize, or the use of computational techniques to understand signaling in the brain or blood flow in the vasculature. The students who are receiving their PhD degrees have formed very close relationships with their individual faculty members. Through these relationships, they have progressed from student to scientist. Those receiving the PhD have not only become experts in their chosen field, but they have learned to collaborate in their work, as Dr. Kalenda spoke about the need for the team approach in medicine and research, to communicate and interact with the larger scientific community, and to simultaneously remain both curious and skeptical. Most importantly, each of those who are getting the PhD today has made a significant scientific discovery. Examples of these discoveries are the understanding of cancer cell invasion, the nutritional regulation of an anti-diabetic hormone, and how the brain processes vocalization. All of these will have important translational effects and impact healthcare in the future. Our PhD graduates are embarking on a period of additional fellowship training to complete their transition to independent scientists, much as our MD graduates are transitioning to their medical residencies for advanced clinical training. It's thus fitting that we share the graduation together, the MD and PhD students, as their lives will be much entwined over the coming years, more so than those who graduated a decade before. Much is changing in healthcare and the science that supports it. Central concepts are that the practice of medicine must continue to be based on sound scientific evidence. Scientific discoveries are translated to the communities and clinics, and that methods of disease prevention and treatment be subjected to rigorous scientific evaluation. These efforts require that scientists have a sound understanding of the clinical issues and that our physicians fully appreciate the science supporting their clinical specialties. This year, we have 14 students who have earned the PhD degree from the School of Medicine. We're very happy to have 5 of our students here with us today. 9 others who have received their degree throughout the year already have begun their postdoctoral fellowships at other locations and could not be here with us today. In addition, we have 5 biomedical PhD graduates who will be receiving their degrees as part of the commencement ceremony for the School of Pharmacy. So it's time to begin the hooding. I'll now read the name of each PhD degree recipient, the location of their postdoctoral fellowship training, and their faculty mentor. The topics of the students' dissertations are printed in the program. Good luck with some of those names in there. Will all recipients of the PhD degree please rise? Holly Ann Seifert, postdoctoral fellowship, Vanderbilt University, hooded by her advisor, Dr. Brad Hillgardner, professor of biochemistry and molecular biology. Travis Seifert, postdoctoral fellowship, Vanderbilt University, hooded by his advisor, Dr. Lisa Salati, professor of biochemistry and molecular biology. Jason Van Buren Evans, postdoctoral fellowship, Ohio State University, headed by his advisor, Dr. Scott Weed, associate professor of neurobiology and anatomy. Karen E. Hughes, postdoctoral fellowship, West Virginia University, hooded by her advisor, Dr. Scott Weed, associate professor of neurobiology and anatomy. William James Talkington, postdoctoral fellowship, West Virginia University, headed by his advisor, Dr. James Lewis, assistant professor of neurobiology and anatomy. Congratulations to all of you. We know you're going to go do wonderful, great things in discovery. It's now my pleasure to welcome William Talkington to the podium. William is a member of the Ph.D. class of 2013, and he'll speak on behalf of his fellow Ph.D. recipients today. Bill.
I would like to begin by thanking the Biomedical Graduate Program for asking me to speak at today's commencement. I feel extremely honored to do so. Today, my fellow PhD graduates and I are celebrating accomplishments years in the making. Endless hours spent in lab, reading papers, writing manuscripts, presenting our work. All of these tasks have led to this moment where we receive formal recognition of those efforts. Enjoy it. Not surprisingly, as a scientist, I'd like to present some observations today of things that I've learned during my own experiences in graduate school. I'll note, however, that these observations do not apply to science alone, but any noble pursuit. First, mentorship is key. Most of us in this room can attribute large parts of our successes to our mentors. Initially, we heavily rely on them, needing their guidance at every turn. Ultimately, we achieve a confident independence, the hallmark of great mentorship. Our first mentors were likely family members, I think I speak for all of my fellow graduates here today when I say thank you for all of your support. My own earliest and most important mentors, my parents, Gudrun and Bill, not only taught me the rules of good living, but also endlessly encouraged me through all of my scholarly pursuits. I can never thank you two enough. In the lab, our graduate mentors help us to become independent scientists. I would personally like to express great thanks to my graduate mentor and friend, Dr. James Lewis. He truly embodies the greatest qualities of a scientific mentor, and the university is quite lucky to have him. And as you can see, he's quite a character. My second observation today is that discovering knowledge is hard. During college, after my fellow physics majors and I had spent hours, even days, figuring out a hard physics problem, our professor was rather fond of telling us what he thought of our accomplishments. He would exclaim, "Of course you solved it. It's easy. It's in a book. Anything in a book has already been done. The hard stuff isn't in books yet." Needless to say, his encouragement style was unique and confusing. I didn't really understand what he meant until I was fully immersed in my graduate research. After years of work, I couldn't help but look at my accomplishments and ask myself, "That's it? And why did it take so long?" I'm sure the parents in the audience have asked the same thing of their graduates. Looking more closely, though, the data for one paragraph in one manuscript can take months to generate, analyze, and prepare. My professor was right. Creating new knowledge is hard and also takes a very long time. However, this is true of anything worth doing. Whatever you do in life, professionally or personally, the best that you do will take years and all of your efforts. I would like to end by formally congratulating my peers on their accomplishments, and on behalf of my peers, I would like to again thank those that gave so many of their years and efforts to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. At this time, would all recipients of the Doctor of Philosophy degree please rise? Will the audience join me one more time in congratulating these graduates who've been awarded the Ph.D. degree from West Virginia University. Let's go ahead and sit. You can sit now. Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to represent the faculty and administration in leading our Ph.D. graduates in the ethical affirmation for scientists. Dr. Sigmund spoke of some of those issues that may be before you. This affirmation we'll go through today, we believe, is unique to West Virginia University. It was written by Drs. Robert Craig, Ann Cather, and James Culberson, all faculty members in the School of Medicine. It was published in the journal Science in 2003 and brought international recognition to our institution and to our Ph.D. programs. So it's a wonderful achievement for all of us. As new biomedical scientists, it's appropriate for you to take a few minutes and think about some of the ethical demands you may be facing. There will be immense pressure for you to succeed. You'll really experience very intense competition for funding to support your research programs. You may encounter questions of authorship on scientific publications. You might be faced with conflicts of interest or conflicts of commitment and other situations that will require decisions of an ethical nature. So the ethical affirmation you're about to recite represents what you as scientists should strive for throughout your scientific career. So I ask that our Ph.D. graduates please stand. I also invite all scientists on stage and in the audience to stand and repeat the ethical affirmation along with our graduates. Please repeat after me. As I embark on my career as a biomedical scientist, I willingly pledge that I will honorably represent my scientific profession, that I will conduct my research and my professional life in a manner that is always above reproach and that I will seek to incorporate the body of ethics and moral principles that constitute scientific integrity into all that I do. I will strive always to ensure that the results of my research and other scientific activities ultimately benefit humanity and that they cause no harm. With this affirmation, I pledge to acknowledge and honor the contributions of scientists who have preceded me, to seek truth and the advancement of knowledge in all my work, and to become a worthy role model deserving of respect by those who follow me. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, Dr. Dillon. Congratulations to our PhD graduates. Dr. Scott Cottrell, Associate Dean for Student Services, will now present the Doctor of Medicine candidates for their investing of the Doctor of Medicine hoods. Drs. Rosemarie Canarella Lorenzetti, Norman Ferrari, and James Griffith will assist with the hooding. Today, 51 of our graduates will be hooded by family and faculty members, all of whom are graduates, 20 are graduates of the West Virginia University School of Medicine. These guest participants will include mothers, fathers, spouses, and siblings who are also physicians. Chancellor Kalenda will represent the university in the presentation of the diploma. Dr. Cottrell.
Will the first row of the MD recipient degree students please rise? Benjamin Lee Addix, otolaryngology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia. Hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari, class of 1982, Vice Dean, Morgantown campus. Janice Shoji On, preliminary surgery, Riverside Methodist, Columbus, Ohio, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Joseph Theodore Angieski, obstetrics and gynecology, The Ohio State University Medical Center, Columbus, Ohio, hooded by Dr. James Griffith, class of 1985, Associate Dean, Charleston campus. Justin Wade Arner, orthopedic surgery, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. Rosemarie Canarella Lorenzetti, class of 1979, Associate Dean for Student Services, Eastern Division. Stephen Ernest Osceola, family medicine, Riverside Methodist, Columbus, Ohio, hooded by Dr. Holly Resitar, Department of Anatomy and Histology. Rebecca Lauren Barnett, Obstetrics and Gynecology, University of Medicine and Dentistry of New Jersey, Robert Wood Johnson, New Brunswick, New Jersey, hooded by her father, Dr. Alan J. Barnett. Alexander Albert Berebi, Pathology, University of Maryland Medical Center, Baltimore, Maryland, hooded by his father, Dr. Albert Berebi. Austin J. Biggs, Pediatrics, University of Louisville School of Medicine, Louisville, Kentucky, hooded by his sister, Dr. Ariel Biggs, class of 2011. Patrick Corcoran Bonasso II, General Surgery, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by his father, Dr. Patrick C. Bonasso. John Stephen Bozick, Anesthesiology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Rosemary Canarella Lorenzetti. Zachary Seth Brewer, Internal Medicine, Charleston Area Medical Center, Charleston, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Jeffrey Allen Brown, Diagnostic Radiology, Virginia Commonwealth University Health System, Richmond, Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Michael Derek Brown, Pediatrics, Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center, Cincinnati, Ohio, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Neil Byrne Bruce, Psychiatry, Yale New Haven Hospital, New Haven, Connecticut, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Kristen Kelly Burton, Anesthesiology, Hospital of the University of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Joseph Daniel Cavaney, Internal Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by his father, Dr. Robert Cavaney, class of 1976. Graham Christian Chapman, Obstetrics and Gynecology, University Hospitals Case Medical Center, Case Western Reserve University, Cleveland, Ohio, hooded by his father, Dr. Mark Chapman. Kyle Davis Chapman, Internal Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Nathan Larifold, Department of Internal Medicine. Elizabeth Ann Copenhaver, Pediatrics, Vanderbilt University Medical Center, Nashville, Tennessee, hooded by her uncle, Dr. Rank O. Dawson, Jr. Adam Joseph Corcavalis, Obstetrics and Gynecology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Jennifer Alicia Cross, Obstetrics and Gynecology, Virginia Commonwealth University Health System, Richmond, Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Daniel Joseph Crowder, Neurodevelopment Disabilities, Oregon Health and Science University, Portland, Oregon, hooded by Dr. Jeff Lancaster, class of 2003, Department of Pediatrics. Sally Ann Kuzma, Diagnostic Radiology, Lenox Hill Hospital, New York City, New York, hooded by Dr. Rosemary Canarella Lorenzetti. William Lewis Dillon, Neurological Surgery, University of Kentucky Medical Center, Lexington, Kentucky, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. William Troy Elkington, Psychiatry, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Barbara Duckerman, Chair, Department of Pathology. John Robert Gans, Psychiatry, Medical University of South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Paul Anthony Garib, Plastic Surgery, Emory University School of Medicine, Atlanta, Georgia, hooded by his sister, Dr. Erica Garib, class of 2011. Douglas James Glenn, Jr., Internal Medicine and Psychiatry, Medical University of South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Robert William Grammer, Diagnostic Radiology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by his mother, Dr. Janice Sobray, class of 1980. David Theodore Greenwald, Preliminary Surgery, Stanford University Programs, Stanford, California, hooded by his father, Dr. George Greenwald. Mark Vincent Guido, Internal Medicine, Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Bryce Michael Joseph Harvey, Pediatrics, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Lloyd Tracy, Department of Family Medicine. Benjamin Douglas Hines, Psychiatry, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Lindsay Kathleen Jennings, Emergency Medicine, Medical University of South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, hooded by Dr. Rosemary Canarella Lorenzetti. Morris Lynn Jessup, Urology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Stanley Kanzar, Department of Urology. Brian Jeffrey Jones, General Surgery, University of South Alabama Hospitals, Mobile, Alabama, hooded by his father, Dr. Jeffrey M. Jones, class of 1976. Faison Razul Kawar, Anesthesiology, Albert Einstein Medical Center, New York, New York, hooded by his brother, Dr. Rizwan Kawar. Ravdeep Kaur, Internal Medicine, Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, hooded by his sister, Dr. Santandar Kaur. J. Ann Koo, General Surgery, Abington Memorial Hospital, Abington, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. Rosemary Canarella Lorenzetti. Samira Sue Kumar, Radiation Oncology, University of Kentucky Medical Center, Lexington, Kentucky, hooded by her father, Dr. Subhash Kumar. Emily Blair Larkin, Family Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Gregory Doyle, Department of Family Medicine. Quinn Lay, Emergency Medicine, Akron General Medical Center, Akron, Ohio, hooded by Dr. Julia Cruz, Department of Internal Medicine. Richard Christopher Leach, Diagnostic Radiology, Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Leona Danica Leon, Obstetrics and Gynecology, Penn State Hershey Medical Center, Hershey, Pennsylvania, hooded by her father, Dr. Albert K. Leon. Jason Willis Likens, Family Medicine, Washington Hospital, Washington, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Eric Mark Hirige Lopez, Internal Medicine and Pediatrics, Penn State Hershey Medical Center, Hershey, Pennsylvania, hooded by his father, Dr. Amante Lopez, and his sister, Dr. Christina Lopez, class of 2011. Philip Connor Loudon, Diagnostic Radiology, University of Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia, hooded by his father, Dr. M. Barry Loudon, class of 1976, and his brother, Dr. B. Asher Loudon, class of 2004. Sanjay Manin, Family Medicine, Forbes Family Medicine, Monroeville, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. William Neal, class of 1966, Department of Pediatrics. Jared Kip Manwaring, Urology, State University of New York, Syracuse, New York, hooded by Dr. Rosemary Canarella Lorenzetti. Carolyn June Marcello, Internal Medicine, Virginia Commonwealth University Health System, Richmond, Virginia, hooded by Dr. Julia Cruz. Catherine Joy Marcello, Internal Medicine, Virginia Commonwealth University Health System, Richmond, Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Wendy Kristen Madich, Preliminary Surgery, Caroleon Clinic, Virginia Tech, Roanoke, Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Jason Edward McNair, Family Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Jason Lee Meeker, Dermatology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. James Brooks Mersing, Family Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Hillary Elizabeth Nevada Miller, Internal Medicine and Pediatrics, University Hospital, Cincinnati, Ohio, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Mark Daniel Miller, General Surgery, University of Kentucky Medical Center, Lexington, Kentucky, hooded by his brother, Dr. Cal Miller. Matthew Yocum Miller, Diagnostic Radiology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Soji Hemet Modi, Internal Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by his father, Dr. Hemet Modi. Grant Allen Morris, Pediatrics, Geisinger Health System, Danville, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. Jeff Coben, Interim Chair of the School of Public Health. Amanda Joanne Palmer, General Surgery, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Allison Wilson, Department of Surgery. Michael Vernon Parmley, General Surgery, Charleston Area Medical Center, Charleston, West Virginia, hooded by his father, Dr. Vernon Parmley. Kunj Govind Patel, Fairmont, West Virginia, hooded by his father, Dr. Govind Patel. Rakesh Vishnu Patel, Internal Medicine, University of Wisconsin Hospital and Clinics, Madison, Wisconsin, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Andrew Nathaniel Payne, Emergency Medicine, Albany Medical Center, Albany, New York, hooded by his father, Dr. William N. Payne, class of 1978. Holly Kathleen Payne, transitional year, William Beaumont Army Medical Center, El Paso, Texas, hooded by her father, Dr. Lawrence Neal Payne, class of 1983. Caitlin Griffin Vaughn Peters, Dermatology, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, hooded by her aunt, Dr. Denise Kalinowski, class of 1977. Colleen Megan Petrie, Internal Medicine and Psychiatry, Charleston Area Medical Center, Charleston, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Heather Tarantino, Department of Internal Medicine, class of 2003. Yon C. Pham, Internal Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. David Capoon Pong, Vascular Surgery, University Hospital, Cincinnati, Ohio, hooded by Dr. Joseph Wren III, class of 1964. Gabriel Adam Pollock, Anesthesiology, University of Illinois College of Medicine, Chicago, Illinois, hooded by his parents, Dr. Fred Pollock and Dr. Carol Fries. Megan Danielle Pritt, Family Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Brandon Slack Radow, General Surgery, Charleston Area Medical Center, Charleston, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Zebula Michael Reed, Emergency Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Holland Larrabee, Department of Emergency Medicine. Christopher Stephen Choechi Reynolds, Family Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Dorian Williams, class of 1989, Department of Family Medicine. Daniel Richard Ripepi, Anesthesiology, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Rachel David Romero, Internal Medicine, Case Western University Hospitals, Cleveland, Ohio, hooded by her father, Dr. Jose Romero. Joseph Michael Rusnick, Internal Medicine and Pediatrics, Virginia Commonwealth University Health System, Richmond, Virginia, hooded by Dr. Ann Cather, class of 1983, Well WVU, Student Health. Ranjit Vaman Shenoy, Pediatrics, University of Florida College of Medicine, Shands Hospital, Gainesville, Florida, hooded by his father, Dr. Surutkul Vaman Shenoy. Jonathan Daniel Smith, Psychiatry, Vanderbilt University Medical Center, Nashville, Tennessee, hooded by his father, Dr. Daniel Smith, class of 1983. Robert Daniel Smith II, Pediatrics, University of Florida College of Medicine, Shands Hospital, Gainesville, Florida, hooded by his father, Dr. Robert Smith. Dustin Michael Snapper, Preliminary Surgery, Charleston Area Medical Center, Charleston, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Allison Marion Spiker, Dermatology, Geisinger Health System, Danville, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. H. Richard Reynolds, Department of Dermatology. Hillary Page Steele, Internal Medicine, Mayo School of Graduate Medical Education, Jacksonville, Florida, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Brian Michael Stewart, Internal Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Megan Schaefer Taylor, Emergency Medicine, The Ohio State University Medical Center, Columbus, Ohio, hooded by Dr. Rosemary Canarella Lorenzetti. Marta Sharamata Vismer, Postgraduate Neurology Fellowship, George Washington University, Washington, D.C., hooded by Dr. Rosemary Canarella Lorenzetti. Nicholas Freeman Volchko, Anesthesiology, University of Louisville School of Medicine, Louisville, Kentucky, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Michael Thomas Wakeham, Emergency Medicine. University of Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia, hooded by Dr. William Neal. William Ryan Walker, Family Medicine, Fairview Hospital, Cleveland, Ohio, hooded by his grandfather, Dr. William N. Walker, Jr., and his uncle, Dr. Thomas Walker. Caitlin Alexis Wensky, Psychiatry, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. James Stevenson, class of 1970, Chair, Department of Behavioral Medicine and Psychiatry. Chad Stephen Wilcox, Diagnostic Radiology, New York Presbyterian Hospital, Columbia University Medical Center, New York City, New York, hooded by Dr. William Neal. Carly Danielle Williams, Family Medicine, New Hanover Regional Medical Center, Wilmington, North Carolina, hooded by Dr. James Griffith. Jonah Timothy Womack, Internal Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. At this time, would all recipients of the Doctor of Medicine degree please rise? Would the audience please join me in congratulating these graduates? Congratulations. Congratulations. You may be seated. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Kyle Davis Chapman, class president of the Morgantown campus, who brings to you the student response.
Thank you, Dr. Cottrell. Family, friends, classmates, faculty, hello and good morning. It's really an honor to stand before you today and speak on behalf of my class. Medical school has been a long and strange journey. We graduates have immersed ourselves in a new culture, and we can now communicate in a language of medical terminology and acronyms. So very briefly, I would like to map out the road we've traveled to get to this point, creating something of an extended metaphor to illustrate how we came to stand before you today dressed like wizards. It was a road with many obstacles. First, before we even got started, we had to take the dreaded MCAT. In hindsight, that exam was maybe more of a minor pothole on this road trip compared to the endless barrage of shelf exams, final exams, practicals, and of course the Grand Canyon-sized obstacle that is step 1 of the USMLE. So shortly after the MCAT came admission to medical school, but still before classes had started, family and friends started asking us the following questions over and over again. First, what do you think of this rash? Second, what do you want to specialize in? And third, can you fix my back pain? So 4 years and $150,000 in medical education later, I can answer with confidence. I don't know what that rash is. I still haven't decided on a specialty, and you should try stretching exercises like yoga. So the first part of the journey, MS1 and MS2, the first 2 years, the preclinical times, it all seemed to kind of run together. There were endless nights of studying, memorizing something called a Krebs cycle, stretches of time where everything in your apartment and car and wardrobe smelled like formaldehyde. And of course, we got to diagnose ourselves with diseases we had never heard of or thought about before studying them. And of course, many, many exams. But this is the time where we really got to know each other and some of the people traveling alongside us, forming what I predict will stretch into lifelong friendships. After those 2 years, the next stop on our journey was MS3, the clerkships. And at this point, the social skills we had ignored for 2 years of arduous study were suddenly relevant again. Among other things on clerkships, we learned how to round for 5 hours continuously, how to survive pimping in the OR while holding a retractor, the importance of thorough history taking, including asking whether the patient uses well water or city water, just how infectious children can be on the pediatric floor, and of course, how to catch babies, which can be especially slippery. Finally, the home stretch of MS4, 4th year. We kind of set the cruise control. We went on some interviews, took some sub-internships, and signed up for challenging electives like pain clinic and dermatology. Then came the match, and suddenly it's over. The hard work and dedication paid off, and that leads us to today. I think some thank yous are in order. First, thank you to the great state of West Virginia for providing us with hospitals and patients so we can learn the art and science of medicine. Thank you for all the patients, everyone unique and able to teach us something different. Thank you, friends and family, for the support and encouragement along the way. Thank you to the faculty and physicians for patiently teaching us. I'd like to especially thank Dr. Ferrari, Dr. Cottrell, and the entire Office of Student Services for all of the help and guidance. You've been like a second family to us, and thank God we made it. So as great as it feels to graduate today and move forward in life, the truth is the real journey is only just beginning. As we look forward to starting residency and facing the demands of an ever-changing world of modern medicine, I would like to conclude with the words of my favorite president, Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care." Thank you, and congratulations, class of 2013.
That was just terrific. Thank you. And special thanks for acknowledging the great state of West Virginia. It is a great state. Dr. Judy Charlton, Vice Dean for Clinical Affairs and the Chief Medical Officer of WVU Healthcare, as well as a proud graduate of the class of 1985, will now administer the oath of Hippocrates. Dr. Charlton.
Will the School of Medicine class of 2013 please rise? At this time, I also invite the physicians in the audience and on stage who wish to affirm their oath of professionalism to also stand and recite with their new colleagues the oath of Hippocrates. Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear by whatever I hold most sacred, that I will be loyal to the profession of medicine and just and generous to its members. That I will lead my life and practice my art in uprightness and honor. That into whatsoever home I shall enter, it shall be for the good of the sick and the well. To the utmost of my power. And that I will hold myself aloof from wrong. And corruption. And from the tempting of others to vice. That I will exercise my art solely for the cure of my patients and the prevention of disease. And will give no drug and perform no operation for a criminal purpose, and far less suggest such a thing. And whatsoever I shall see or hear of the lives of men, which is not fitting to be spoken, I will keep inviolably secret. These things I do promise, and in proportion as I am faithful to this oath, may happiness and good repute be forever mine. The opposite if I shall be forsworn. Please join me in congratulating the class of 2013.
Thank you, Dr. Charlton. You may be seated. I now call upon Dr. Christopher Kalenda, Chancellor for the Health Sciences, to confer the degrees of both the Doctor of Philosophy and the Doctor of Medicine candidates. Dr. Kalenda.
Will the candidates from the School of Medicine please rise? Candidates, your fields of medicine and biomedical research are one of the great dignities that commands the respect of your fellow citizens. The medical profession and the profession of biomedical research has demonstrated great progress in service and research into human, physical, and mental well-being. WVU has always acknowledged health as a basic value in our society, and as you enter into a profession of great responsibility, I trust that you will hold foremost in your thoughts and plans the patients that you serve and the people of West Virginia, the United States, and the world, who require all of your skills in research and service to make a better world. As West Virginia University graduates, always aspire to put your education to work exploring our world's greatest problems. Continue to cultivate your global awareness and aim to create a more peaceful and just world. Constantly refine your abilities to uncover facts, analyze problems, and communicate clearly. Dream big and never stop learning. Share your pride in West Virginia University wherever you go and act as ambassadors for WVU and the life-changing power of education. So by virtue of the power and authority invested in me by the West Virginia University Board of Governors, I hereby confer upon you the degrees for which you have been recommended, with all the rights, honors, privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations.
You'd sit. It's okay. I know you're a little stunned. Get used to the word doctor, and congratulations. One medical school, 3 campuses, and a whole lot of new terrific WVU docs. Way to go, guys. Dr. Charles, sure, let's do it. This is something you just can't celebrate enough. Dr. Charles Moore is a graduate of the class of 1984 and serves currently as the Secretary-Treasurer for the School of Medicine's Alumni Association. And Dr. Moore is going to bring you greetings from the Alumni Association. You have morphed from having been alumni in training to congratulations, you're alumni.
Good morning. I'm here to welcome you into the ranks of the alumni of the School of Medicine, for you are no longer acolytes in the temple of Asclepius, but full and recognized members of its priesthood. You have climbed the mountain, and this day will be forever a shining moment in your lives, a moment to be tucked away in a corner of your mind and brought forward to savor again and again. I think that only those who have trod this path can truly appreciate the degree of challenge and the meaning of your achievement. However, these laurels which you wear today will have to be won again, won month by month and year by year by the quality of your professional lives. Your Alumni Association has a proud history of support for both student and practitioner. We invite you to be involved in its activities and to take advantage of its resources. We are here to serve you. Indeed, these are your medical roots, roots which nourish the tree which is this university and the branch which is the School of Medicine, a tree which stands tall in the forest of higher learning institutions. So again, congratulations on attaining alumni status. And as we like to say, let's go Mountaineers. Go into the medical world and show one and all what Mountaineers are made of. Congratulations.
Class of 2013, parents, family members, friends, faculty, and honored guests, please rise as we join together in the singing the words of our alma mater, written in 1938 by WVU graduate student Louis Corson. During the singing of the alma mater, it's customary for gentlemen to remove their caps. Thank you, and please be seated. For those of you looking at your watches or smartphones, we're almost done. But I can't not take advantage of this situation to say to you, as Henry VIII once said to one of his wives, I won't keep you much longer. But there are a couple more things to be said. Doctors, welcome to the profession, doctors. It sounds pretty good, doesn't it? It's really a pleasure for all of us to be with you and to be with your families on this very special day. The immense amount of joy and pride that you're feeling is just huge, and to be a part of it is just such a special privilege. There have been a couple of recurring themes over the course of this graduation ceremony, and this is one of them. A long time ago, someone's, teachers, parents, maybe some other special others in your lives, realized that all of you had some very, very special talent, some ability that was extraordinary. And as Dr. Sigmund and others have alluded, all of these people sacrificed. They sacrificed a lot to be sure that you were provided with every possible advantage. And along the way, at some point, as modest as most of you are, you too began to recognize that you were gifted. And recognizing that you had a gift and that you had altruism and that you had what it takes, you all began to work your tails off to get into medical school or graduate school. Now, admittedly, for some of you, your routes were far more circuitous than others. And for some of you, the challenges to get to this day has been far greater than for others. The fact of the matter is, you all just graduated, and you've all proven that you have what it takes to become a great and caring doctor or world-class biomedical scientist. So now, whether you're going to care for patients or improve their health and wellness by discovering new knowledge, it's up to you, and we're counting on you. It's been my observation for more than 40 years of an association with medicine that the most common error made by students, residents, practitioners, and I mean both clinical as well as basic scientists, most common error they make is the lack of time and attention and affection that they reserve for their loved ones. So I ask you that now that you're doctors, please don't ever permit yourself to get to be so busy that your loved ones fall behind or get forgotten. You know, for the most part, they're the ones who got you here today. They're going to be the ones to continue to get you through. You need them and they need you. So you've taken the Hippocratic Oath or the Ethical Affirmation for Scientists, both solemn oaths, and I implore each of you to take an equally solemn oath today. It's a very important vow, and I do hope that you'll do it. I want you to promise that as you embark upon your career, that you will never ever leave your parents, your spouses, your partners, or your children behind. I want to take one more minute of your time and remind you that you are proudly graduating from our great state's land-grant university. The most important reason that we are all here is to care for West Virginians, to do the things that we need to do in order to improve their health and wellness. Having trained you to go out and to do so is one of the ways that we keep our very solemn promise to West Virginians. We're here to transform their lives. We're here to eliminate the huge disparities that exist in this state, and each and every one of you is now well-skilled and equipped to do so. We're really happy that so many of you have chosen to remain in West Virginia for your training. And to those of you going elsewhere, we expect you to impress folks with your mountaineer spirit and do really, really good things. And then we want you to come back. Always keep West Virginia in your hearts, in your minds, and someday soon for you too, let these beautiful country roads bring you home. In 1903, Sir William Osler charged his students in a commencement ceremony by saying, "May this day be for each of you, as it was to me, the beginning of a happy life and a happy calling." Another great, very famous doctor, Dr. Seuss, once said in a situation like this, "You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way." And then you've got me. I'm not such a famous doctor, but I do have the honor of the closing remarks. And what I say to you is please never, ever lose the altruism that brought you to this wonderful profession, a profession whose very foundation is altruism itself. It is a great, great day to be a mountaineer. Work hard, play hard, have fun. Good luck, and Godspeed. Congratulations, doctors. Thank you, class of 2013. So there you go, we're done, and the fun can begin. As we begin the processional, we ask all of our guests to remain in your seats until the stage party, the faculty, and the students have been able to exit the hall. Your graduates will then be waiting for you to meet them upstairs in the waterfront ballroom for reception. You're all invited to share in their honor. Again, I want to thank everyone here today for joining us this morning. It's been a very special event, and it wouldn't be as special as it was if each and every one of you weren't here. Thank you for taking the time to be here, and we'll see you upstairs. Have a good day.